What's up, everybody? Sean here with you guys for Week 3 NFL picks for the 2015-2016 NFL season. Last week I went 2-2, but guess what, folks? It was a bad week for everybody. If you watch a guy named Halfmoons Picks on YouTube, I can probably put the link in the description below. He's doing a tally of all the other prognosticators. Also, there's a Facebook page called the NFL YoutTube Prognosticators page, which I can also try to link at the bottom here. Everybody who does these videos kind of gets together. We talk about the games, and all that good stuff. Also, there's a bunch of other people I can mention. Maybe I'll mention them at the end of the video and put their links in the description as well that do these videos. Basically, everybody sucked last week, and me and Halfmoons Picks, and there was a couple other people, we all ended at 50%, which was the top of the bundle here. It was the top of the stack. So again, 50% last week was a good week considering all the underdogs that ended up hitting. So I'm not too upset with 2-2 in that crazy week that was. I feel good about my picks this week for Week 3. Now, a new thing I've been doing this year, I have been giving you guys my record over the last 4 years of doing picks for each week. Week 1 was killer. Week 2 was mediocre, but it was still a winning record. Week 3, we get into a little bit of a bad territory. Week 3, after 4 years, I am 4-11-1 against the spread. Additionally, my lock of the week is 1-2, which is factored into the ATS, but additionally it is 1-2. And my upset special is 1-0, which is also factored into those ATS numbers. So again, overall ATS, I'm 4-11-1 on Week 3 after 4 years. Not something to be proud of, but nevertheless, I'm giving you guys the numbers one way or the other, whether they're good or bad. I'm going to give them to you. All right, so let's take a look at my picks for this week. All right, so my first pick is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers -1 over the St. Louis Rams. This line seems a little odd, and I know a couple prognosticators, including my former teammate, Billy B, has opted to go the other way because basically they believe Vegas is telling them something with this line being so low. I can't avoid taking this game because the Pittsburgh Steelers Week 1 played a tough game against the New England Patriots, only losing by 1 touchdown without Le'Veon Bell and without Martavis Bryant. Sorry, bad with names. So you look at that, without 2 of their top players, they actually held in tight against the defending Super Bowl champions and possibly the best team in the NFL at this point. Then they blew out the San Francisco 49ers, who blew out the Minnesota Vikings Week 1. So you look at that, and Pittsburgh looks like a really strong team. Antonio Bryant looks unstoppable. Whereas the St. Louis Rams had a great first week. They played the Seattle Seahawks tough and actually pulled out a victory in Nick Foles' first game and followed it up the following week with a stinker at the Washington Redskins, losing to the Kirk Cousins-led Washington Redskins. Unbelievable, right? I couldn't believe it myself. So I like Pittsburgh here, -1. Let's roll with them. I don't think Vegas is necessarily trying to tell us something. Let's just take the Steelers. They're a much better team. Trust your instincts. Let's go with the Pittsburgh Steelers -1. All right, the second game we're going to look at is the Houston Texans, who are -6.5 points to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I like Houston -6.5 this week. Basically, Houston, I think, is just a better team than Tampa Bay. I really don't think Tampa Bay is that good, despite them beating the New Orleans Saints, who had a banged-up Drew Brees in the game last week and who might not even play this week. I really don't see the Houston Texans defense having any trouble confusing rookie Jameis Winston or causing him to make some turnovers that will basically put their offense in a position to succeed. Keep in mind, this is the same Tampa Bay defense that got torched by Marcus Mariota Week 1, who threw for 4 TDs and was like 16 of 18 or something in completion percent. With his completions, it was nuts. So look at that, and then factor in Ryan Mallett. This season, he's thrown for like 362 yards, 2 TDs, an interception. He's looked pretty decent. They got DeAndre Hopkins there. So I like Houston here -6.5. I just think they're the better team, and I think that defense is really going to confuse Jameis Winston. I think Winston's going to have a really tough day, and that's the main reason I like this. Plus, you factor that in with Tampa Bay's defense not being able to stop teams. I like them to go ahead and win this game -6.5. So let's go with the Texans. All right, the third game we're going to look at is the Carolina Panthers, who are -3 over the New Orleans Saints. Now, Carolina has covered 2 of the last 3 head-to-head against the spread against the Saints. Also, Carolina 2-0, trending upward, whereas New Orleans is 0-2 and trending downward. They also just lost Drew Brees to injury. He may or may not play this week, but he's banged up nevertheless. After losing Jimmy Graham, of course, in the offseason to that trade that they decided to make, it hasn't looked good for the New Orleans Saints. I think the Panthers are a better team this year than the Saints are, and I just expect them to win this game. Also, an interesting stat is Carolina is averaging 138 yards a game on the ground, whereas New Orleans is giving up 129, which is very high. So you look at that, and Carolina should be able to pound the ball and control the clock, and they should pull out this win over the Saints. I would expect by at least 7. So I like -3 here a lot. So let's go with the Panthers, -3. All right, for my lock of the week, I like the Indianapolis Colts, who are currently -3.5 over the Tennessee Titans. I'd probably like this game if it was -10. I think Andrew Luck is due for a big game here. He struggled early on, and a lot of people were getting on the Colts and saying, are they really pretenders? They weren't actually contenders. This team made the AFC Championship last year, okay, and they did get wrecked by the New England Patriots in it. But nevertheless, they're a good team. They got some new pieces they're trying to work in there. They got rookie Philip Dorsett. They got Andre Johnson. They got Frank Gore. Lots of new pieces. They got Evan Mathis. Lots of different things to fit in on offense. So they're just trying to work that out, and they're trying to get that, get accustomed to that basically here. So I'm not worried about their 0-2 start. I still think they'll make the playoffs and be a contender in the playoffs. And Tennessee, on the other hand, I mean, yeah, they blew out Tampa Bay week 1. I don't think that says much. They also lost last week, of course, to Cleveland. Yeah. So by 2 touchdowns at that. So I don't necessarily believe in the Tennessee Titans as a good team. Also, Indianapolis has covered the last 7 head-to-head matchups against the spread. That's right, 7 they've covered. The last 7 head-to-head matchups against the spread. So yeah, I like the Indianapolis Colts here, -3.5 as my lock of the week.